So, what happened this week in the NFL? Well, the overshadowing of everything is the injuries. It is off the charts. It was like a guy going down here, a guy going down there, multiple guys going down on like a series of plays. It was like, what is going on? And so I want to get your thoughts on that, but I'm going to open up by just saying I think this is a product of not having a preseason and not having enough time to fully get into game ready shape. I just what it seems like is there's freak injuries, but when you don't train it hard enough in the offseason, I'm not saying these guys half-assed it, but it's like when you don't have enough of this game-like feel for long enough before you go all out, things can get sloppy and things can get like a little bit off. And so it's like an ACL here, it's an ankle there. It's just like when things get a little bit off, everything can start to break down. And so that could be a big reason why there's a lot of these injuries.
It could be. My question is this: the NFL is the only level of football that has preseason. Why do we not see this same type of injuries in college when they don't have a preseason?
Um, well, how long does college practice before games?
I'm not sure.
Because I know that the NFL doesn't get to do a lot of full speed stuff, especially this year.
Yeah.
So I know the games are longer, and I know they're probably more physical and intense just based on the level of talent. So I don't know. That could be part of it. Because imagine if you're on the D line, you're going against a guy who's way stronger and way more physical than any guy you went against in college, and that's every play.
Yeah.
I could imagine that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
It just that it's there. The chance of you getting into a more physical battle with
A
a
lot
guy
of people
who's just as
say
good
like
as you.
college, like I said, they go harder. You know, I've heard tons of people say that over the years. They only watch college because they feel like the college players play way harder than the NFL players. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you have ever felt like that, but I've seen tons of people say that.
Well, there's way more dudes on a college roster as well. And when guys get
Yeah.
hurt in college, unless they are the star, then it just kind of gets forgotten about. Not that it's forgotten about by the fans, but it's kind of like, oh, guy goes down, he's carted off, you don't even think about it again. But when it's Christian McCaffrey or it's Nick Bosa, it's like, well, that's
Yeah.
a big deal because there's fantasy, uh, you know, decisions being made on a weekly basis. So people see it more often. So
Yeah.
could it be a product of that, you think?
Possibly. Because every year it seems like I don't want to write off the pandemic because I think it's definitely has played a role. Like I don't even think you can argue that it hasn't. I just feel like maybe it's a bit of an overreaction because I had this conversation last year when there was no pandemic about
Yeah.
why are so many people tearing their ACLs all of a sudden? Like back in the day, it seemed like when ACL used to be such a catastrophic injury, it was rare. Now that the technology is much better and you can bounce back from an ACL within like 6 to 8 months,
Yeah.
it seems like they happen all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like so often. It's
Yeah.
weird. Like, and my whole thing was always players bigger, stronger, faster, joints the exact same. I'm trying to think like in a devil's advocate kind of way because I don't like to just blame stuff on like one thing, like this one thing. But yeah, I can see that it probably played a pretty huge role, man. It was brutal, man. Yesterday was brutal. Everybody was going down. Honestly, out of our game, CJ Uzama, our tight end, tore his
Yeah,
Achilles.
right when his leg shot, you saw like the movement. I was like, oh, it's Achilles.
But all in all, our game was pretty light on injuries, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was. And
Especially
that's what,
considering we had a short week.
yeah. Well, both teams did. Random tangent off of it, but this is kind of why I admire the Frank Gores of the world and the Adrian Petersons as far
Yeah.
as their football mindset.
Yeah.
Just because it's like the injuries that they have sustained, especially Adrian Peterson, and to keep coming back from them, like harder and stronger. And it's like, you know that they lose athleticism, a little bit of that ability every time, yet they find a way to make a difference and continue on. And that resilience and that
Yeah.
perseverance is just
Yeah.
very admirable.
It is.
It's not that easy. From personal experience, it just took 3 years of injuries for me to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to do something else.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
And that didn't involve crazy rehab like an ACL injury. That didn't involve being in a boot for months at a time. So for all the dudes who come back stronger I think we need to give a lot of credit to the guys who come back from ACLs, from Achilles, from any sort of serious injury, because not only is it brutally hard mentally on you, but to come back stronger, that's incredible. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. 100%, bro. 100%. I think the average person doesn't, they never really take the time to try to put themselves in the place of an athlete. We live in this country where it's so damn weird. People really think, like, if you ask people what's the most important thing, they'll never say money. But their actions tell me that they think money is the most important thing ever, because they'll say, "Oh, well, watch this athlete. He's a millionaire. He shouldn't complain about anything." Like, that's so stupid. Like, it's so dumb to think that because I have money, all of a sudden my other problems don't exist. Like, these dudes got money from football because they've put so much into it. Yes, sure. You got to have some athletic talent in the first place, but there's tons of people with athletic talent. In order to get to the level of these cats, you putting in hours, bro. You're sacrificing a whole lot, and there are no guarantees, especially until you get to the NFL and sign that contract. Ain't no guarantee. So all that work that you started putting in way back when you was a kid can technically be wasted, right? It's not like going to college, 4 years, I passed these classes, boom, I'm going to get a degree. Nah, bruh. You could do everything right and still not make it to the league. So you really have to admire, like, what these cats are able to put in and take this big, huge gamble for a game that they love. And then once that's taken away from them, it leaves their life, it is their identity.
Yeah.
So it leaves their life feeling a bit empty. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so hard for football players, not all, but a lot of football players, to transition after retirement. Like, this has been their life forever, for like the last 30 years. And now it's gone. And people are like, well, you're rich, so you should be great. Like, no, bro. Like, I don't know who I am at this point. Like, Adrian Peterson, when he's no longer a running back, do you understand how long he's been a dominant run? Like, he's a running back. When you ask Adrian Peterson who he is, like, that's probably the top line of his. I'm a running. Like, he a running back through and through and through. So once that's no longer there, it's gonna be tough, bro. And every time you get an injury, that possibility have to creep into your mind, especially as you get up there in the years. You know what I'm saying? How many times can you come back?